This is the Italian Citizenship Podcast, hosted by Marco Permunian and Rafael Di Furia. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Italian Citizenship Podcast, presented by ItaliancitizenshipAssistance.com. Of course, we are back at it again with Italian attorney Marco Permunian, and I am Rafael Di Furia. And in this week's episode, we wanted to talk a little bit about a very interesting ruling that has come from the Court of Verona. A ruling which is the first of its kind, which may help with some of the delays that some may experience when they are doing an Italian citizenship by descent case through the courts. And just before we speak about that, in the first part of this episode, I think it might be worthwhile talking about what kinds of delays exist and then get into what has recently happened and the ruling. Probably from the title of this episode, you might already have an idea of what the outcome is. But Marco, can you just tell us a little bit about what are the types of delays that can happen and why do they happen?
When someone is applying for citizenship by descent through an Italian court, there can be, unfortunately, some delays that can happen throughout the court process. We receive many questions from our clients regarding what can be done regarding these kind of delays. But let's talk about what can go wrong during the process and what can cause delays. So the process starts with the filing of your petition for Italian citizenship, which includes your arguments, and the arguments are made by your attorney on your behalf to obtain Italian citizenship by descent. And of course, the petition includes all of the supporting documentation that is needed to show that you are entitled to Italian citizenship. And once this petition is filed, the first step that the court needs to take in response to your filing is assigning a case number to your case. That normally happens quite quickly, even if there can be delays. And we have seen that in the best case scenario, the case number is assigned to your case and your attorney is notified within just a couple of days. But there can be situations where the case number is assigned to your case even weeks after the filing. Unfortunately, there isn't much that can be done in this situation because the assignment of the case number is the very first step of the process, and you actually don't even have a case number to refer to if you want to talk to the court or if your attorney wants to talk to the court to speed up the process. So during this phase, all you can do is wait for the court to assign a case number to your case. Once the case number is officially assigned to your case, the president of the court needs to assign a judge to your case. And unfortunately, we have seen that also this specific portion of the process can be subject to delays. And in the best case scenario, a judge is assigned to your case within weeks from when you receive your case number. But in the worst case scenario, it could take even a couple of months for the court to assign a judge to your case. And unfortunately, even in this phase of the process, there isn't much that you or your attorney can do to speed up this specific phase of the process because there is no judge that you can direct your questions to. And therefore, you just need to wait to have a judge assigned to your case before you can start asking questions to the judge. And the next phase is a phase that you can control to some extent, because if the judge that is assigned to your case is particularly slow in assigning a court date to you, then you could have the ability to contact the judge, of course, through your attorney, to request that the judge sets a court date more quickly. And in some cases, we have seen that the judge could even take months just to set the date of the hearing. Of course, these are isolated cases. Generally speaking, judges, they are efficient and they assign a court date fairly quickly. But if your judge is particularly slow, if you have the name of the judge, you can at that point, through your attorney, contact the judge directly or the clerk of the court to request a more expeditious assignment of a court date. With that being said, once you have your date of your hearing, there could also be the problem that your court date is too far ahead in time. It's not unusual for a judge to schedule your hearing for the following year compared to the year in which you file your case, but there are even some judges that schedule hearings 2 years out. And therefore, in those specific situations, when, of course, the person can show that there are reasons for urgency, it's possible to request that the judge gives the applicant an early hearing. Just to clarify this point a little bit further, generally speaking, you can expect your court date to be set, say, between 6 and 12 months from the day in which you file your case. 6 to 12 months is fairly reasonable for the Italian judicial system, which is knowingly quite slow. But if your court date is, say, beyond 12 months after the filing of your case, then you can take action. And through your attorney, you can present a motion to the judge that needs to be documented. So you need to include all of the reasons why you did your case to be heard in a more expeditious way. For instance, if you have received job offers from a European company and you do need the Italian citizenship in order to apply for that job, or if you have medical reasons, say an illness that can be cured only in a European facility, and of course that applies to you or any other of the petitioners that are on the case, then you can file this motion through your attorney and request that the judge reconsiders and give you an early hearing.
Well, Marco, this is quite interesting. And so with all of this said, with all of these potential reasons for a delay, when we're talking about the full length as a whole of the process from start to finish of the case itself, more or less how long might we be talking about here?
The whole court process is most likely going to last between 6 months and 18 months. Of course, there are exceptions. I wouldn't say that a process can be quicker than 6 months. That would be very unusual. But there are processes that took longer than 18 months. And in those cases, of course, it's absolutely worthwhile to take action through your attorney to request early hearings or to request that the process is sped up.
So then, just also to lead into the second portion of this episode where we talk about the recent ruling that happened in Verona, just before we get into that topic, what are the potential delays that can happen after the case itself?
Of course, once you get your ruling, you're not a citizen yet. So you have a court ruling that establishes that you are a citizen, but in order for you to, for instance, obtain a passport, there are other steps that need to be taken. And one of those steps has to do with the registration of your birth certificate and all of the petitioner's birth certificates in the municipality of birth of the ancestor that was used to apply for citizenship by descent. And of course, there can be delays due to the workload of the municipalities or due to the unwillingness to cooperate in this process. And in these cases, unfortunately, we have seen that it could take months just for the municipality to agree to register these birth certificates and these rulings in the registries because they have questions, because they are unsure about what to do, because they want to receive clarifications from other entities, because they have a heavy workload, because the employee that needs to do the registration is unavailable. So there could be a variety of reasons, sometimes excuses, that could cause delays in this registration process, which needs to happen after the court issues a decision.
Well, Marco, so far we've spoken about these processes and how long they can take and why these delays can come up. But what is now being done to try and fight against it? As I mentioned earlier in the episode, there has been a recent ruling in Verona to actually try and combat some of these delays. So can you tell us a little bit more about this, what's been done, and what this potentially could mean in the future?
In the case of Verona, the person had already received citizenship in 2023, but they were having a very hard time with the municipality that was refusing or that was delaying, rather, the registration of the ruling and of the birth certificate of the applicant in the registries held by the municipality, which, like I mentioned a moment ago, is a prerequisite for the person to be able to apply for an Italian passport. In the case that you're referring to, which was heard recently in Verona, the person had already received their citizenship in 2023. However, they were dealing with a refusal or with delays caused by the municipality in the registration of the birth certificate of the plaintiff and of the ruling itself, which, like I mentioned before, is a prerequisite for the person to be able to apply for an Italian passport. And therefore, in that specific case, the person had to file a new case before the Court of Verona, asking the judge to force the municipality of Verona to register the birth certificate and the ruling itself in their registries. And the process was successful, and the ruling was actually very interesting because the judge explained that while the previous ruling established that the person was a citizen, that specific ruling was useless until it was registered in the Italian municipality, because that is a prerequisite for the applicant to be able to register with the AIRE and then obtain an Italian passport. And therefore, the judge not only ordered the municipality of Verona to proceed with the registration without further delays, but also they fined the municipality of Verona, and the fine was 100 euros per day for any day of further delays. And so that led the municipality of Verona to register the ruling and the birth certificate. And of course, while that specific ruling is not automatically enforceable in other parts of the country, of course, it's a first and it's a very important ruling that can potentially be used as legal basis for other lawsuits in case of delays in the registration of the ruling and the birth certificate of the applicant that received Italian citizenship via the Italian court system.
Well, Marco, thank you so much for getting into both of these topics in today's episode and explaining what has been going on and what things look like. And for those who may need help to go through the consulate, the comune, or through an Italian court, how can they get in contact with you and your team?
People can contact us through our website, ItalianCitizenshipassistance.com.
Absolutely fantastic. And of course, for more like this, make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, as well as the audio-only podcast on your favorite podcasting platform of choice. But if you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, that means you are also automatically subscribed to episodes of Ask the Italian Lawyer and the Italian Real Estate Podcast, where Marco and I go into the practicalities and realities of making Italy your home. And for more about life abroad and living abroad, be sure to come over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rafael Di Furia. And again, of course, we have been here with Italian attorney Marco Permunian from ItalianCitizenshipassistance.com, and I am Rafael Di Furia. Stay safe and healthy out there, and we will see you all next time. Thank you.
Thank you.